and welcome to a not special edition of the Church of Failure. We're going to be going to do some special editions, but we do have something special for today, and that is the Ayrton being here. So, Ayrton, share with the people what's been going on with you and why you've not been on the show.
I'm broken down in Missouri in a storage facility.
Oof.
Essentially, is the short of it. As well as my bike broke when I was pulling it off of the carrier. I got that fixed. It's got something to do.
And you're also talking to us from the robot dimension. That's an important point of concern.
Oh yeah. So I got that fixed. I'm been looking for some work in the area I'm in Novell. Trying to do some things last weekends on my RV. My dad came out here and was able to drive it, I don't know, a couple miles down the road before it started messing up again. So since I still have this for till the end of December, we just turned around and put it back. So if you thought I was I was living as I was camping before, now I'm actually living as I'm camping.
Mm.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So what's it going to take to get you back into a working motorhome?
Oh hell, I don't know. We did a complete carburetor rebuild along with a couple other little things,
Mm.
and it looks like now the alternator is also going out.
Because I mean, why not just have everything go out in the engine? Didn't you actually do a whole engine rebuild before you launched off on this adventure?
No, because when I launched off, like I literally put in a fresh battery and gas to it, and it fired right up.
Mm.
And I started having some trouble going from Michigan to North Carolina around Gatlinburg, like a little bit north. I think technically like Mount Vernon area of Tennessee, but it wasn't anything too bad. And I thought it was just elevation because I was in the mountains, and this has a carburetor. So then when I was leaving Cherokee, I got to like Knoxville, and it really started messing up again. And I went to two different shops actually who did a couple of different things, and I did some stuff on the road, and then eventually got out this way, and yeah, it just in the same exact ways. So I don't know. We'll see.
So you're still aiming for your plan to go travel out to Texas and get your flag planted out in Texas?
Oh fuck! I don't know. We'll see.
Just a second. Let me get the doobly doo posted on Twitter.
No, for right now, the plan is just kind of day by day. It's weird. I'm trying to think of how to describe this so it doesn't sound like totally schizophrenic.
I mean, you're basically living like you're like a gypsy. Let's be fair here.
Well, I was gonna say, like, the situation I'm in, I'm living very kind of like more so outside of normal society, and like basically in survival mode. Like, I don't, like, I'm not hooked up to power. Like, I have
Mm,
no amenities. So
mm,
so like I I'll go to a gym that's close and I'll work out a little bit.
mm.
I'll like shower there. That's how I do that stuff. Like, the food I get from the store depends on the temperature. So like right now it's been very warm actually. Well, compared to what I'm used to in Michigan, it's been very warm. So
Mm.
I can't really get like lunch meat or something like that at the moment. But when it gets colder at night, like I can get like lunch meat and stuff like that, and like make sandwiches because it'll stay it'll stay cold enough. It's been actually kind of interesting. Um, a lot of like thinking on my feet, a lot of walking for the first while because, like I said, my bike was broken for a couple weeks, so it was normal for me to walk at least a couple miles a day.
I mean, had you considered walking with your blues guitar and going to places and playing some music to get some money?
So unfortunately, the only place where that would have been viable was a bit too far to walk regularly.
So you're like out in like a modified industrial hybrid sort of situation.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. I'm in a suburb area of Kansas City,
Mm.
and there's some sort of big industrial like right behind me, and railroad like for road on the off that same hard, and like comes comes through here. So yes, that used to living like in the mountains in the middle of nowhere,
Mm.
where it was like quiet. Like you walk outside and not hear anything or see anything. So like that, like it's light out almost from like
Yeah.
the light, like the city light pollution. That was a weird adjustment.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
yes, it's. I'm living very kind of survivalist cyberpunk, I guess. Right now would be the modern day meme to put it in. It's
Yeah,
fun
yeah.
though. Not gonna lie, it's
But
kind of fun.
this is kind of good because we're gonna be talking about Jack Reacher today. So it's good. You're kind of emulating his lifestyle. Are you familiar with Reacher? The
I know
show,
it's
the
a,
books, the
I know
movies.
I know it's a thing.
Mm. So the character Jack Reacher, he just goes wherever he wants. He's living off of his military pension, and he only owns a toothbrush. It's the only thing he owns. He wears his clothes until they're too dirty to wear anymore, and then he goes into a thrift shop and he sells his clothes and buys new clothes. So he basically wears clothes that he can wear, take to a motel, clean in the sink, and dry out in the sink.
I've done that. Not on this trip because there's a laundromat like the next
Mm,
street over,
mm.
but I've done that in the past.
Right now, I'm waiting for Church or Rune to get here so we can get into the meat and potatoes. Speaking of meat and potatoes, here's the potatoes.
Well, I told you what my grandmother used to say about Irish people, right?
that they're not allowed around here.
No. My
Speaking
grandmother.
of potatoes, you can say again on Twitter.
I heard the word Twitter in there. That was about it.
I also heard
Oh.
Twitter, but I mostly heard robot.
Did you guys see you can call people fags again on Twitter?
I have heard that that's a thing now.
Yeah, we saw that you made that glorious discovery.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're super happy now.
Oh, I am so happy.
But
I was commenting on how Ayrton's current lifestyle choice is similar to Jack Reacher's.
Oh, you mean Vagrant?
Yeah.
In my
But
defense, this wasn't by choice.
But Ayrton's actually better off than Jack Reacher. Oh, well, there went Ayrton. I guess he doesn't have a good connection.
I do not believe Ayrton is better off than Jack Reacher. Have you seen Jack Reacher?
I mean, first of all, he's better off in a material possessions way. Because, he's got possessions. And anybody else in the chat, let's press F for Ayrton.
I suspect if Jack Reacher wanted possessions, he would have them.
Right. There we go. Now you're back.
But it's not F for respect, it's F for fucked up. Fucked up!
So, we got some reviews in the pipeline. Papa Church is currently dealing with family business with the outbuildings, the Church of Failure.
I mean,
and
it's so terrible. He's got to be at a birthday party. You know they're gonna have cake. You know they're gonna have ice cream. It's gonna be so terrible to be at church right now. Just God, can you imagine it?
So for the I'm gonna open up with the first review. The first thing that I've had a significant amount of pain with for review, we got Shed's comic book coming into my house. And I want to read to you all the title.
What you're saying is he came into your house, took a giant shed.
Exactly. So I want to read the title because I actually read the title of the comic, which really helps set the stage for the disappointment we're all going to be feeling during this review. Chronicles of Everfall, Shadow of the Conqueror, Enemies of the Self. That's the title of the book.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You didn't tell me the title. It's so fucking pretentious.
It is. Now, if we got rid of Enemies of the Self, just had Chronicles of Everfall, that would work. Or if we said Shadow of the Conqueror, that would work too. But Shadow of the Conqueror is the whole ass book. And this is not an adaptation of the whole ass book. So I'm guessing, maybe this is an adaptation of a whole ass chapter of the book. Could be a chapter. I don't know. And don't mind me while I'm moving around a little bit. Turning my lights so I can better see the suffering we're going to be dealing with. So first I want to talk about the binding. The binding is to the hardcover and back, not to the back of the book. So what does that do, kids? That means the book doesn't open all the way. That means you can't see all of the good artwork that's on the inside. Now, I'm not going to say the artwork is good, but Mike Miller, who was the artist and the person who adapted and wrote the book, at least has many pages that are technically proficient in the book. So, Ayrton, I've already read some of this fantastic writing that Mike Miller adapted directly from Shadowversity's book. I'm going to read to you the opening page. My name is Dalen Namorin, but most call me the Great Bastard, the scourge of nations, Dalus, the conqueror. Yet contrary to what most people believe, I'm not dead. Are you surprised? You think I've somehow escaped punishment? Well, rest assured I haven't. The 20 years I've spent in hiding have been torture. Death would offer me the rest I desire and save me from my endless guilt. Yes, that's right. I Dalus the Conqueror, decree I am the despicable tyrant the world claims. I murdered, raped, pillaged, and ravaged the world, all in the name of the Dawn Empire. I know I could never be forgiven for what I've done, and as meaningless as these words are, I am sorry. This is a whole ass page where we got an old man looking down the edge of a cliff. That's how we open with this comic book.
As you are in the audience, Church, sort of keeping an eye on us, making sure we don't burn the asylum down while you're gone, it is a character humble bragging to himself about how great and how sorry he is in his own fucking book.
Before his suicide attempt, and spoiler, this character's going to attempt suicide, but he's so awesome, he fails at suicide.
He's too awesome for suicide because winners don't unalive.
Exactly. And now we go from excuse me, one splash page to pages 2 and 3, which are also single splash pages.
I do want to point out that opening does kind of remind me of every single Wolverine comic where there's like a page and a half of him introducing himself to the reader.
So here is the difference, because Larry and I actually got into this pre-show the other day, and I compared it to an opening in a Thanos book. Okay? In a Thanos book or a Wolverine book, there is, if not an injection, at least a drip feed of actual, like, testosterone. Right? The character in question is either deep and meaningful in their presentation, or is like hard bitten and this is their cynicism that they are trying to break through. It is parsed in such a way that you actually give a shit. What Chad has made here is condensed soy.
Now, Chad did not make this. This was adapted with his permission. This is what Chad is getting paid for. Now, the second and third page are essentially splash pages. You can make the argument, as I was looking at this book again, that they are technically 3 panels. There's a top panel of events, there's a middle panel, and there's a bottom panel. And it's showing time progressing, but there's no actual panel lines.
Wait, my euphemism figured it out, and I'm disgusted. Ayrton, are you ready to be disgusted?
Usually.
It's non-alcoholic soy eggnog.
Gross.
I mean, there's a lot of things. That's the worst thing you've ever said to me.
I know, right?
The only way eggnog is palatable is with alcohol.
But
and this is soy. This is imitation eggnog.
But the backstory of this world,
I'm gonna get you canceled on Twitter.
But the backstory of this world, and this character is about to kill himself, is the vampires were taking over everything and murdering people, as vampires are wont to do.
As was the style at the time.
As was the style at the time. And this will be relevant when we get to the Blade comic book later that we have a review on. So our main character, our protagonist, invents a magic sword using the power of light to murder vampires and make magically powered warriors. And
to bring it around again, you're saying he invents a blade.
He does a light blade, but not the kind that George Lucas's lawyers would have questions about.
Not the kind you'd see in Thundar the Barbarian.
No, that kind would be cool and interesting.
Oh my God. Chris calling for my firing. He's never been more pissed at me than after that series of words.
Exactly. So the next 2 pages are the ones which I would argue have more than one panel, because they actually have a clear line demarcating things, not including the bad line for the binding, which takes a nice redheaded girl with fat boobies and makes her less visually interesting, and also ruins the architecture of several buildings. the bindings in this book are bad, and the comics pages are bad. And then our main character, he saved the day. And so what do the people in charge do when he says, hey, we should, help people out? No, they try to murder his family. So he murders the people in charge of the civilization, and he makes an empire. Because that's the only way to make things better for everybody is if you have the strong man in charge.
That is a phrase we didn't come up with when we were talking earlier. We were talking about the writing. Spoilers, guys, it's bad. We were talking about the art. And I know we danced around it. We didn't actually talk about. This might actually be a case of it in the wild. I was talking about how they needed an editor. This is also why you need a layout guy.
It's true.
They don't have layout. It just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like nobody ever thinks about why layout guys are important. This is why.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if you're a good writer, you write for layout. That's neither here nor there.
Right.
So now we get to the first page where there's unambiguous multiple panels. Just before the character yeets himself off a rock, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. 5 pages to get our character to suicide. Not 5 pages, excuse me, 5 panels to get to suicide. Then he continues into suicide in 1, 2, 3 panels. Then in the 4th panel, he unsuicides and unages himself. So he is now a youthful lad. And then we have 1, 2, 3. So 7 pages, 7 panels plus 5 panels, 13 panels to get to suicide, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 full pages droning on about suicide.
In matter of point, either he is so bad at suicide that he became younger than when he started, or he's so awesome that death has no hold on him and he becomes younger from dying.
Oh, no. The magical power of the universe, the light, has given him a power to redeem himself.
So real quick, I wanted to look this up just because I couldn't remember. Mike Miller did actually work on Wolverine and X-Men comics during the late 90s. So that writing does actually make sense.
He did.
Yeah, but that's another thing that we didn't mention earlier, Larry, because I was talking about the idea this guy had comics experience, you should know better. If you're writing a Wolverine-alike, and you do this badly, you should know way better.
Yes.
Because the single character narrative is like Wolverine's bread and butter.
Yes, but it's not always that good. Like, I'll be honest.
No.
I usually will skip those pages when I go back when I'm bored to reread some of that. I'll skip some of those because they're kind of the writing's just as clunky as that intro. Sometimes he also worked on Injustice, which everybody hates.
Well, here's the thing. Wolverine. I'm gonna talk shit about Wolverine. Here we go. Wolverine only adopted that style after Frank Miller, a different Miller, was very successful with that style in his Punisher run and his Daredevil run. Right? And even then, your mileage may vary by the issue, right? But overall, it's not like it's a bad tool in the box. You can work with it. I mentioned Spider-Man books because Spider-Man has.
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah, there are Spider-Man books that use it very well.
So as the character is not suiciding anymore, the last yellow box of dialogue says, "From his eternal thought, and if so, could I really be a better man?" So he transports to what I'm going to call, because Ayrton's here, Fantasy Detroit. One fall, 24 hours later. You dayless blackened son of a shade. No, please. Rawr! He cuts the back out of the knee of a homeless person. Try to rob me and slit my throat. Well, I've conquered nations. You think a dagger for the likes of you will be my end? Then he stabs the homeless person in the chest, and then he cuts off the homeless person's arm. He decapitates the homeless person, and then he stabs the homeless person's head into the wall.
That just sounds like Detroit.
Is it fantasy Detroit because people want to live there, or because people feel bad after murder?
No, the fantasy in Detroit is nobody wants to live there, and nobody feels bad about murder in Detroit. So it takes
except whiny like college hipsters that think it's cool to live in a gentrified city with no personality. That's
So it takes 2 pages for our awesome badass anti-hero character who's conquered nations to kill a homeless guy.
I know not the Pizza Princess, but hello, Pizza Princess. Do you come bearing pizza?
oh shit. We can see the X chat in here now. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We can. We're getting better at this.
I
then-
welcome any monarch that brings me pizza.
I mean that is a standard of a good monarchy.
to come among the rabble and bring pizza to the hungry people.
Indeed. I didn't realize that X had been fully integrated. I mean, I don't really like calling it X because calling it X makes Elon Musk think that's a good decision, and it wasn't. So we now
Well-
spend a page with our protagonist feeling some PTSD because he just murdered a homeless person. He then runs out of the alley where he murdered the homeless person into a street, then into another alley, and then he has Spider-Man powers for some reason. Why? Because Mike Miller is known for tracing over other people's art and altering it to look like his own. Our character then broods on a rooftop. He has a flashback. And inside his flashback, he has another flashback while he's brooding on the rooftop. Then a lady realizes he's looking at her naked in her window.
I'm pretty sure they have medications for unintentional double flashbacks these days.
I mean, yes, but it's a crime to hit people in the back of the head with a baseball bat, and I don't live in Australia. I can't go find Chad.
So he then falls off the roof of the building, but luckily he has magic powers that enable him to float. Then he finds a character who knew him from back when he was the magical Lord of Awesomeness. And this character gives him a dagger, which is important later. Then the character goes in to talk to some government official. The relationship of this government official to the world isn't really well explained in this comic. Is it better explained in Chad's book? Distinctly possible. And the old guy says, hey, I totally know where the bad guy is that we all want to kill, and I'm going to find him. And the government guy says, sure, I'll give you some resources to do that. Then the comic accidentally gets into something interesting. Unfortunately, it doesn't stick with it. So everybody's getting on a steampunk airship because it is the style at the time. And 2 women get offended. Then they pull out swords and they start dueling. Which leads to our protagonist having a second flashback about chicks in belly dancer outfits dueling with swords.
Hell yeah.
If this book had been focused more on things like this, it might have been worth the money. Then, within this flashback, our character has a separate flashback relating to how there was a revolution that overthrew him. And then there was some priest who healed him, and he said, hey, I should totally go back to my home where all my...
So Rick, how many flashbacks deep are we now?
Well, no, these are 3 flashbacks that happen back to back.
Oh, geez, Rick.
Then he notices the debauchery and decadence of the society. Then he uses his powers to be the Flash. And then we see the old guy launching his forces to attack him. Now, somebody other than the main character has a flashback.
So wait a minute. Let me
I
make
don't
sure
think
I got
that's
this
legal.
right. No, I want to make sure I got this right because I've seen this episode of Rick and Morty. So we
I'm sorry.
having entered the flashbacks of the main character and gone 3 flashbacks deep, we then enter the flashback of another character in the flashback whose flashback we could not have possibly seen.
No. This is a separate character having a moment with troops, and that character has a flashback.
Right, but it's in the main character's flashback.
No. It is flashback adjacent. After the main character's flashback, he had a moment to look at how decadent society was. He got the flash powers. Then we see this other character, and he has a flashback.
I
No.
believe Church. I believe Church has the right of it. We should go back to the belly dancing.
Well, actually, that's a good thing you mentioned that because that's in this flashback. So we have a bunch of women dressed like belly dancer, and our main character and the old guy, as a young old guy, are both a bunch of muscled up dudes. And again, if the book, focused on this kind of energy, it would have had my interest. Then
If
the
it
old
focused
guy,
on muscly dudes,
well, on the
Were you-
muscly dudes,
were
No,
you
no,
reading
no,
from the
on the
spit chambers?
no, on the muscly dudes with the belly dancers, in that whole genre together. Then the old guy stabs our protagonist and leaves him with a scar, which will be important later.
Oh no,
Uh,
not a scar.
Then the protagonist was convinced his friend betrayed him, murdered all of his friend's family, and this was one of the events that led to the revolution that overthrew him. He then goes back to his house, finds a priest who had helped him, and the priest who helped him has a flashback. Flashbacks are spreading; they're contagious.
It's a mimetic SCP.
Then our main character has another flashback, but it's a flashback to why his suicide didn't work and how he survived. Then he goes into the house. Some guy found all the evidence that, oh yeah, the former dictator formerly lived here. And then they eat food, because, of course they eat food. Our main character starts to gear up, get his costume on. He and the priest talk about it. And then we finally get to a fight sequence. And in this the fight sequence is like, the boat is on the island. People are flying out of the sky with weapons. And then the people are like charging towards the characters. The priest is like going, hey, hold the F up. We need to talk first.
Are there
And
belly
the guys,
dancers?
there are not, unfortunately. There are no women in this scene. Our main character points his sword. They have some negative banter. The old man pulls the main character up, going like, grrr, I'm gruff, and he realizes he has the scar. And he wants him to confess that it's really him. Then the priest puts up his shield and saves him. And then there's some more banter, and then they finally fight. And the fight scene is in a 2-page spread where you can't really tell what's going on. A bunch of characters are just smashing into each other like action figures smashing on a bed. Then the main character and the old guy who's hunting him get in a fight. The main character murders the old guy, admits that he is who he thought he was, and then our main character is sworn to do a fight for justice in an unjust world that he's somewhat responsible for the unjustness of. And this wasn't very good. This was not very good at all. Mike's art was not great, but not terrible. It was serviceable.
Hey, Timothy Olsen.
Hey, Timothy Olsen.
At least
And-
it wasn't copy and pasted from image files like Isom.
This is true. This is true.
That was actually one of the discussions Larry and I had, was the dire question of whether this was better, worse, or equal to Isom, and I thought it was real close.
But this has a narrative that's coherent. Events follow in a sequence that makes sense.
We have a vague idea of what the main character's powers are.
Well, here
And
is
his motivations.
Here is the crux, because I think this is the important part. I think that the thing is that it has a narrative, and we want narrative. Like anyone watching us and wondering how do we feel about comics, it's like, oh, we want good narratives. The problem is it has a
They don't even have to be
narrative. It is a bad narrative.
Because I like Skipman. They don't have to be narratives. They just have to be narratives.
Well, here's the thing. Ayrton, I'm gonna make you happy. You ready for it? You ready to smile? Are you ready? So last night, because I've got time off from work, paid time off no less, and everybody else had gone to bed, and I had nothing better to do. I consumed all 4 John Wick movies.
Nice.
And having consumed all 4 John Wick movies, I liked the first one, although it was a little perfunctory, but I mean, it was just establishing what it do. I really liked the second one. I felt that the third one was better than the first, and then the fourth one is just kind of too long. Okay? In the fourth one, they fully give into that this is a video game. It becomes completely ridiculous. The fight scenes are overly long, even though I am super jazzy at the Warriors reference, because yes.
But you have to admit the fourth one has some of the most beautiful cinematography out of all 4 of them.
Oh, there's cinematography, there's choreography, there's many positives to talk about. I'm just saying, as a movie, it's like,
Yeah,
here's
it
the
goes a
thing.
little batshit crazy after the second one.
But here's the thing. Having said all of that, the only reason that I found some of those things to be heavy for me was because I'm familiar with the genre, and I unfortunately somehow became a reviewer of media. If I was just eating popcorn and watching a movie, oh, they're great. They're fine. I know too much about the subject to be just like shut off brain and enjoy. There's nothing in a John Wick movie that is bad. That's the thing. They're not bad.
There's a couple things, but
yeah, but here's the thing. That's a couple of things across 4 movies, each movie being roughly between 2 to 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
It's not that bad in aggregate. This is one book in which we are supposed to establish a character, introduce a plot, and create a conflict, and it is dry, droning, and slow. And Church says we need to put him in. He is apparently the coach.
Oh,
or he needs.
I didn't see the coach had gotten here yet.
Ah, here we go. Yeah, just here to
room,
fire
you're
me.
fired. Get out.
Okay.
Also, my favorite part of this comic book was where he tried to kill himself. That was the best. We should go back to that. That should be the whole book.
Well,
A series of misfortunate events.
I think you've actually touched on it, Church. Is he tried to commit Sudoku, but he actually succeeded at playing Sudoku, so that's why he couldn't die?
No, I don't think he's awesome enough to play Sudoku.
I can't. I've tried. Sudoku is beyond me. I don't get it.
You just put the numbers in a line, and they can't be in the same line or box.
Right, but they have to add up appropriately, or it's not right.
No, it has to be every number in the box and in every line. It's not adding up. I mean, every line in every box will be the same.
I will retry it because I actually think I like crossword puzzles. I like word puzzles. I like Sudoku. I can, in fact, master things above the level of Mad Libs.
See, I'm too fucking scatterbrained to remember what actual words are. So I can't do crossword puzzles. I'll be like, the fucking thing. I know what the fucking thing.
So you, in fact, cannot do Mad Libs either.
Oh, I'm great at ad libs. It's the fucking thing.
No, not ad libs, Mad Libs. It's those little notebooks where like you open it up and it's like insert a verb, insert a noun, insert an adverb, and
it's like Cards Against Humanity without the cards.
Yeah, you do what every 12-year-old that a parent got Mad Libs for does. You just put in butts and poop.
The biggest blackest dick in everything. Yes.
Yeah. Well, because of course, dick is both a noun, a verb, and an adverb, and an adjective.
Fuck the fucking fuckers.
Exactly.
So, I don't.
Larry, why do you keep submitting yourself to these bad things? Who hurt you?
You did.
Well, you see, Church.
He does it for the show.
You see, Church. I got this on the premise of like going, okay, Chad's a major content creator. I got to see if he's going to put in a good effort. I mean, Shed's book sold, but again, what we have since learned is that if you're a big YouTuber, your pay pigs will just buy stuff. It doesn't matter the
Yeah.
quality of it at all.
That's
Correct.
the thing. That is the actual source of my antagonism. If you put aside bias and we're just reductively looking at it, all right. I never had a problem with Shed doing shitty reviews about like fantasy weapons, right? My problem was that the quality of his content was always ass, and that he was smug enough to act like he was a goddamn genius, right? Oh, the Swordscraft in Game of Thrones, a fantasy series that is not known for its historical accuracy, is wrong. Oh my stars and garters!
I mean,
and then
George R. R. Martin wants people to believe it's accurate.
Yeah, but then you append it by saying, "Oh yes, they're melting down a Valyrian steel sword," but that's not how that would work, and it wouldn't work this way, and it'd be wrong. It's like, oh yes, you've been to Valyria, the ruined continent. You've seen how they forged 1,000 years ago. You know the secrets
Hold up.
of fantasy Damascus steel, you lying sack of fat.
Hold up. That sounds like a great story idea. Like an ancient barbarian, warrior, philosopher, king being forced to live as a YouTuber. That sounds like a great idea, Rube.
So what you're saying is you want Jack Reacher season 3 to just be Jack Reacher sitting on at a computer keyboard saying you're wrong and hitting enter?
Well, no. Well, Jack has a lot of big Conan energy, and we're gonna get to Jack Reacher in a little bit here, folks.
Rune, to be fair, I'll count rounds like in action movies and stuff when they're firing their guns.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
And also, as
can we introduce guns into Game of Thrones? That sounds interesting.
Game of Guns.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. So I also picked up the John Michael J.M. Straczynski Captain America book, which is extremely painful and tedious because they decided to take Neil Gaiman's concept of Captain America as a totemic force of cultural influence, which was dumb,
no.
and then have like an alt-right Yahtzee person attempting to achieve that same goal using super science and demon magic and alien stuff and gamma rays. And also, there's a parallel story of Cap as young, scrawny Steve Rogers fighting the German-American Bund with the Jewish mafia back in the 30s.
I've had a good scream. I feel better now.
Can we go back to the belly dancers?
Please.
Well, actually, there were.
Wait a minute. Best question, Larry. JMS's book or Shad's book?
JMS's book is better written. It's dumber what's being talked about, but it's better written.
So on our triangle, we can have smart, good, or like well made, and you've got to balance those three. So JMS's book is good and well made.
No, it's well made. It's well made,
but dumb.
But it's dumb.
Right.
And Shed's book is not well made.
It's not well made.
It's not smart.
It's not good, but it's that's the thing. We're trying to work out what's the. I think one of the three is wrong. Right.
Now, I do want to talk about a comic book I read before we get into Jack Reacher that I actually have enjoyed and have some good and positive things to say about. So, my friend Brian Edward Hill, he's got another Blade out there, and my problem with, and it's also what I like about Brian Hill's comic book writing is every comic book he writes feels like a TV show, and when it's good, it's really good.
I mean,
but there are some TV shows that are slow and tedious. My first major question
is Blade wearing a Cosby sweater?
No, he is not.
We're already on good we're already on a good direction.
So, Blade, for those of you who don't remember, I have mentioned this in previous months when the comics come out. Blade accidentally defeated the warrior who was going to stop the unspeakable evil being from coming out and doing horrible things to the world, murdering people, cats and dogs living together, making light dark, life, death, all those sorts of things. Blade accidentally,
But he's not wearing a Coogee sweater.
He's not wearing a Coogee sweater. And Blade accidentally killed
I'm
that
out.
person. So Blade's been going on a process to, try to stop this person. And Blade recovered the sword from Satan himself. And first battle didn't go well. The bad guy beat him. So
That's where I'd go to get a sword.
Well, no, Satan didn't have his sword anymore. Satan had given it to somebody.
Right, but he's got other swords, I'm sure.
Yes, but this wasn't the sword for Satan. He's like,
And didn't they just kill Moon Knight? Can Blade pick him up while he's down there? Because we all know Moon Knight's in hell.
I actually have pulled up that book because it finally came through my systems, and I'm reading it while Larry's discussing this book to see how bad it gets. Because we didn't.
So tell me if Blade picks up Moon Knight from hell.
He does not, because Blade's currently on Earth, which is being turned into hell.
Right, but the thing is he might pick him up in Moon Knight's book.
I mean, that would
maybe
make
not.
sense.
It
That would make
depends.
sense if the two continuities were interconnected, which they're not. So Blade needs help to fight the bad guy. So what does Blade do? He goes to Dracula for a training montage.
Does
It
he
is
also
actually
come in
kind
at $20?
Doesn't
no.
Dracula fucking hate him?
Dracula does hate him. But Dracula hates him because he reminds him too much of himself.
No, Blade, you're supposed to be doing it on the edge of the volcano. You're balancing on the one foot with your sword on your nose and kick into the volcano.
Yeah, really.
No. So Blade goes to Dracula and says, "Hey, listen, I need to know how to fight evil with evil." To which Dracula says, "Oh, you think you've been fighting with evil right now? That's cute." And Dracula guides him through a process where Blade learns to embrace his inner darkness so that he can be a proper monster and kill a bigger monster. And
It turns him into Moon Knight. And then Blade immediately robs him for $20.
I mean, that would be funny, but no. Now, I am going to drop both of these comics at the next issue because my problem with this Blade comic is this is a slow TV show. We're like at issue 6 or 7 when something finally interesting happens. And I know something interesting is going to happen. Blade's going to defeat the bad guy. Dave's going to be saved. And I'm like, I'm out. And
I mean, in a rare defense of Marvel Comics and their writing process, a lot of their slow burn books do tend to pick up for a while, at least after the first climactic point.
Yeah. So it's possible I might change my mind once I get the next book. It's possible. So I watched the new season of Jack Reacher, and it, like the previous season of Jack Reacher, was pretty great. And Jack Reacher's a big guy who's part of what we're going to talk about a little later with Rob Liefeld discussing the concept of Dad TV. Jack Reacher's Dad TV. Jack Reacher's a big, strong guy who travels the world solving problems because the problems aren't bigger than him. Occasionally, there is a guy who's bigger than him, but he's still bigger than that guy.
I mean, I've seen parts of season 1, and from what I gather, Jack Reacher is basically our generation's Gunsmoke.
Kind of, sort of.
I
though
think
a lot
that's
of people
actually
compare-
a better comparison than the Conan one people keep making is Gunsmoke. But
the Conan comparison is that Jack Reacher is what a modern day barbarian would be like. He travels the world, rights wrongs, doesn't necessarily give a shit about what the law says. He does what
I disagree. Sons of Anarchy, the nomads, are what modern day barbarians would be.
Well, no, because they're criminals. We're talking about barbarians that aren't criminals.
Barbarian, the only thing that calls it criminality is a system of structured laws. Barbarians didn't adhere to that shit. They adhered to morality, and the morality was fuck you.
I mean, that's not all the barbarians.
it depends on what faction you're talking about and what era of Sons of Anarchy. Because remember, Sons of Anarchy was derived from Shakespeare and is actually several different plays.
Now,
That's a discussion for another time
Yeah.
because it
now
already makes me mad.
the pulp analogy that's actually more appropriate for Jack Reacher is he's actually, what if Conan had Doc Savage's team backing him up? And it's in a modern day setting. So this season is all about Jack Reacher and his Army Special Investigators team. Somebody's going out and murdering them. And they don't realize that Jack Reacher's a big motherfucker who will not be murdered. But how does Jack find out that there's a problem? Because this man doesn't have a phone. The only thing he owns is a toothbrush. He set up a code with his people that here's my bank account. If you deposit a certain amount of money, I will know that you need me to contact you. And he called her up, his sergeant major, and she's like, yeah, so and so's dead. I also sent you enough money for airfare. So he flew to New York, and the series of adventures started. But the sort of soft opener that led to him with the situation is he's in a thrift shop buying new clothes, as he's wont to do, and he has to go across the street to get money out of the ATM machine because the employee at the thrift shop doesn't want to adhere to the posted sign that says that clothes are all 50% off, because it was somebody else's job to take that sign down. And there's a woman who's getting money out of her ATM nervously, while a man who's carjacked her has her kid in the car with a gun. Jack, solves the problem, goes to the car, punches out the lady's window, drags the guy out, beats him half to death, opens the door, tells the kid he's okay, and the adventure begins. There are people following Jack and his partner in crime. They have something interesting for a mystery that I never thought of as a mystery plot device. So there's a MacGuffin that our characters have to find, and they put it in a clever place. They hide the MacGuffin in a post office box in a U.S. post office that has security cameras in it. So to get the flash drive, our characters have to go into the post office and just open up a post office box. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was really an interesting little gimmick. There's also a sequence that appeals to Ayrton, where our protagonist has to go into a pawn shop to get some firearms for him and his team. And the pawn shop owner rightly reports under New Jersey state law, there is a 7-day waiting period before you can take possession of guns. And Jack said, well, yes, but you can loan guns to a friend in a unofficial official transfer of ownership. And it's like saying, yes, but under New Jersey state law, I would have to supervise you, and you'd have to return those guns to me in 8 hours. And it's like saying, well, look, 8 hours happens in every day. It doesn't say it has to happen in the same day. And also, sure, you can supervise me in the hands of a big wad of cash, but, I want you to just be there in spirit. And to which the pawn shop owner says, well, if it's good enough for God, it's good enough for me.
Yeah, which no FFL in the country would do that, because the ATF would fuck them so hard in the ass.
Yes, but that is actually there for a plot device, because the New York City cops find them because Jack Reacher is wanted for questioning because he punched a police officer in the face hard until he passed out. Well, he did that because he thought that the cop was there to try and murder him. And so he pulled him out of the car and punched him and didn't ask questions. And then they found out,
kind of like his move. I'm just going to pull everyone out of the car and punch them.
I mean, it's a good move because you really don't expect that. You're in a car, you're just, in control of things, and you just get punched. And the team has to figure out what the bad guy's plot is. And it is also told in the form of a parallel story of how their team initially came together, which is good. It's good. It's nice, simple, basic, solid storytelling.
We're gonna submit a new tagline for Jack Reacher. Jack Reacher. Everyone's got a plan until they get pulled out of the car and punched repeatedly in the face.
Also, really cool.
I'm just confused by something, Larry. I want to make sure I understand you correctly. So what you're saying is that flashbacks can be used
Effectively.
as bridging material
Yes.
to bookend a primary story to reinforce. Let me see if I'm gonna throw a word in here. The themes of that story.
It's true. It's true. Almost like there's a flashback for each member of the team, so that we fully flesh out their relationship with Jack. Because we have like the basics of like, here's the stock archetypes. Here's how the stock archetypes all bounce off of each other. But now let's go deeper.
But I mean, that would mean that like you shouldn't actually do flashbacks unless the flashback is somehow directly related to what you're doing right now in the story.
Yes.
In an obvious fashion.
Yes, and you shouldn't also do a flashback within a flashback.
Because otherwise that flashback is just useless scene time taking up space.
Exactly.
Weird.
Exactly.
Bizarre. I've almost never heard of any story actually doing this well. It's almost like only people that are good at their job should do it.
Yes. Also, there's two other cool sequences. So when they first encounter the cop, Jack Reacher approaches his car, and the cop's like going, "What's this big guy gonna do?" So Jack Reacher
he could have driven like 3 hours to Pennsylvania.
Well, he was in Atlantic City at the time. But I'll tell you about this other interesting way to get a firearm when he only needed to get one. But when he first encountered the cop, no, it's even better than that. So when he first encountered the cop, though, cop's in a black Ford Crown Vic Taurus. I don't know what they use for New York police cars. And Jack Reacher kicks the car in the Ford emblem so hard the airbag deploys.
As you do.
And that's the incident he uses to pull the cop out of the car and beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, 2 hours, 55 minutes from Atlantic City to Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Now, the first time Jack
Just saying.
Well, the first time Jack Reacher goes to get a gun.
So wait a minute, you're telling me that the bad guy of this entire series could have been Michael Scarn from The Office?
Yeah.
It is actually the bad guy is a businessman right now. At least that's what we've seen so far, because only the first 3 episodes have been released.
Parkour.
So the first time Jack Reacher goes to get a gun, he goes to a church and says, "Hey, listen, my cousin, he's hopped up on the drugs, and I need to find him. He lives somewhere around here. I promised my aunt I'd find him. I don't know where to look, but I figured, this is your church. I'm sure you got drug rehab and drug outreach programs. Where do the people who come here for those go to get their drugs?" And he said, "Well, it's at this place, but you don't want to go there. It's dangerous." And Jack Reacher said, "Don't worry, I have righteousness on my side." So Jack Reacher pulled up.
Wait,
hit the drug dealer.
Did he say he has the power of God in anime, essentially?
No, he just said righteousness. He didn't say anything.
Okay.
So Jack Reacher pulled up with his car, hit the drug dealer off the couch he was sitting on, hit the drug dealer's bodyguard, beat the snot out of the bodyguard, pulled all the drugs out of the bodyguard's pockets, threw those away, then went up to the drug dealer, took the drug dealer's guns, took his big wad of cash, punched him a few extra times for emphasis, and then left. Returned to the church.
Did he pull the drugs out of the car and beat them up?
No. The drug dealers were not in a car, but he threw the drugs in a storm drain. And he then went to the church, handed the church the drug dealer's big wad of money, and donated it. I thought that was neat.
He gave you a bunch of money, church?
Yes.
Jack Reacher is the 21st century version of McGruff the crime dog. He just takes a big bite out of crime with a fist.
Yes, except he's not an actual police officer anymore. He's just doing this as a private citizen.
It's just professional courtesy because he punched a cop in the face.
You're under citizen's arrest. Get out of the car. Wow.
The
It's like,
defense
Sir,
company, they were
sir, you're not allowed to pull people out of vehicles and beat them. Well, I didn't pull him out of the vehicle and beat him. He fell out of the car 16 times. It was a horrible accident.
and the action sequence that ends the final episode for the team is the corrupt defense contractor they go to investigate gives them an address to go to, and they figured that the reason the address was there is because it was for a hitman, and apparently somebody lives at that address, which they use to deduce that, oh, this is a trap. So their solution to the trap was to throw a pipe bomb in as a flashbang, and then to proceed to methodically
Was he
murder
trained by-
all the
was
violent
he
criminals.
trained by the Shadow? Just throwing dynamite and shit to take out the enemies.
He's got a bomb.
Look, sometimes you just can't get rid of a bomb.
And after killing everybody in the trap, the guy who set up the trap for the evil company, a big fat guy, drove away. Jack Reacher chased him, and he died of a heart attack because you've seen the pictures of the actor who plays Jack Reacher. That guy chasing you down on foot in your car. That is the sort of thing that would give you cardiac arrest.
That was actually one of the funnier bits of the movie that I loved, Ayrton, was in John Wick 4 fighting the German kingpin.
Hmm.
We're just a big stupid guy. It was fun. But while you were discussing Blade, not that I don't care about Blade, but I've not been impressed by this run particularly. Like I said, I checked into my sources and I thumbed through the supposedly last issue of Moon Knight. Of course, at the end of the issue, they promptly have an ad for a new run called Vengeance of the Moon Knight. So, he's dead until next year.
I mean, that's how you do it in comics.
Right. In December, he's dead until next year.
Well, I mean, one time they did it for 18 years. They made us wait a while.
I know.
Now,
But,
just imagine how they can open that comic. It's all black. And there's white text says, "Not everybody knows what their life is worth. I know my life is worth $20."
I wish.
Also, Dracula is a fuckboy.
So I wanted to wait until I had seen this book before I gave a final judgment, but unfortunately, the book was exactly what I thought it was. And I want to start with everyone is wrong. It does not puss out into a woke direction and make the vampiress Reese into girl Moon Knight. It's not that at all. It's far worse.
However, they want you to think that as a marketing trick.
They absolutely wanted you to think that way as a marketing trick, and it did inspire all the outrage of all the outrage boys who live on outrage. So I'm gonna give the summation of this book. It is roughly 20 pages of Moon Knight dying because he's been shot to pieces. The culmination of a storyline in which he does not have the regenerative near back from the dead powers of Khonshu, because in a previous terrible arc, Khonshu tried to take over the Earth to protect us from Super Satan, because Marvel's on a big anti-Satanism kick. And he was imprisoned cosmically. So basically Moon Knight has no powers and is still fighting like he does. And he's out of regenerations. He's dead for the long haul, supposedly. And we find out that the big bad that has been screwing up his life and leading to this was an ally of his who decided, I don't want to be a sidekick anymore. I want to be a superhero. So we're basically following the Incredible Spectra, right? It's spoiler, right? And he just is so interested in becoming Moon Knight by killing Moon Knight that he's going to destroy the city of New York because that's logic, right? And so, since Moon Knight cannot regenerate and is going to bleed out, and he cannot do anything of real value, he gets all of his friends and allies who have helped him get this far, get out of the building, and then blows up the building to kill himself and the bad guy. But that's
As
okay.
you do.
But that's okay because his team come together, though it is not called this, it's called the Midnight Mission, to basically become Moon Knight Incorporated. So in that last page that everyone was only looking at the one character, if you actually expand it out, everybody's in a Moon Knight suit because it's a team of Moon Knight alikes who are all going to be Moon Knighting it up now in New York doing Moon Knight stuff. Aren't
So
you
give 'em all
fucking
symbiote.
happy?
Do they have company supplied ketamine? Like, how does that work?
No, that's the thing. None of them are actually high, insane, or on ketamine. So none of them need $20. It is instantly less interesting.
Now,
It is, he died for your sins so that Moon Knight cosplayers could take his job. That's the book.
I'm
Now-
not wearing hockey pads.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna pivot back to something for a moment because again we were talking about naked marketing schemes. The guy who was playing Jack Reacher saying, "Coach, put me in. I want to be the new Batman."
I mean, he might not be bad. I don't know if he's got the Bruce Wayne in him, but he might be a good Batman.
Nah,
he actually played Hawk in the Titans series.
Mm.
no, I don't want that. I don't want a new Batman. Actually, I don't want any more Batman for a while.
Well, no, you're correct, Church. The real problem here is I don't care if James Gunn's doing it and it's Gunn's version. Batman needs to lay fallow for a while so we can like it again.
Well, I mean, he's not gonna because they're doing a sequel to the Robert Pattinson Batman.
No, I know. But the thing is that if it is not a direct continuation of a film that is an established franchise that we establishedly give a shit about, I don't want a new Batman. Because they've done, 4 Batman in quick succession?
Well, here's the thing about Batman as a comic character adapted for film. Batman works best without a Justice League. Because here's the thing, and this is the same reason that Spider-Man works best without the Avengers in a movie situation. Because let's look at Batman, and let's look at your average moviegoer who's never read a comic book. If you've seen anything with a Superman or a Shazam in it, and you put Batman into a world with these people, your average person's going to look and go, why is there a guy doing this when Superman can literally police the entire planet?
I mean, that's what everyone says about Hawkeye and Black Widow. Not understanding why those characters are Avengers. They go, but they're normals. Why does a dude with arrows need to be on a team with the Hulk?
I mean, in the MCU, they're right.
In the MCU, they're right, but only because the MCU doesn't have the multiple decades of canonicity to back it up.
Well, no, because, in the MCU, Hawkeye kind of sucks.
I mean, your mileage may vary.
He had some good moments in the comics, but in the MCU, Hawkeye, he has no purpose except to be an angsty little fuckwit.
No, Hawkeye has value. The problem is that they don't give him his value. The one time they put him in a fucking show, it was a stealth Kate Bishop vehicle, and they fucked over his character. They had fucked it over multiple times in their own canon because the MCU didn't care.
But I'd like to pivot to a moment for something good that came out of Rob Liefeld. Unfortunately,
I actually have something I could review. I could actually bring something to the show.
Well, what do you got?
So, because I don't have any actual power or anything really at the moment, I've been reading a lot. I probably read like 20 books over the past couple weeks, and one of them is a book called Wrath of the Wendigo, by a person known as Clay Martin. And it takes place after an American Civil War in a breakaway society in like the year 2050 or something like that. And it's the story of a general from this breakaway society it opens with him breaking into the White House and being caught by the Secret Service, as one does when you break into the White House. And he basically says, "I'm not here to kill the president. I want to talk to the Order of Saturn." And then they look at him weird. He's like, "Or the Illuminati," or whatever you guys are calling them these days. And it's this big thing of him going through these essentially different law enforcement levels. He goes from like being held by the Secret Service to the military to like special ops, and giving like the backstory of how this society came to be, kind of explaining like the other side that the American news didn't tell. You know, it's kind of like that sort of thing. And I won't spoil the ending because it's actually really.
wait.
Hold on.
So no, hold up. So is it on this kind of energy level?
I don't want to glow either, chat. The feds do. And what you do to people that glow, chat, you run them over with your car, going 80 miles per hour.
Oh, it's 1,000% like that. No, so it's basically this society was created by this guy who's a former Marine or something, and he, after he gets out of the service, he feels lost and he goes on this spiritual journey, and kind of like rediscovering the old ways and stuff. There's a lot of like fairly cool and really accurate pagan symbolism and stuff in there, which Rune, you'd probably enjoy, because it's extremely accurate.
Could be.
But at the end, he does end up getting in front of, you know, like Klaus Schwab and, you know, the Rothschilds, all those people, like in this big council thing. And again, I'm not going to spoil the ending because the ending is amazing. But
is this the ending?
Within 2 weeks, there will be major cities quarantined in a giant biological warfare drill. We're being murdered. Most of you are going to be dead soon.
Not exactly, but the book is kind of like if Alex Jones wrote like a dystopian.
Well, I'm picking up vibes of like Shadowrun and East of West.
Kind of. It's kind of East of West.
Without all the, you know, just absolutely fantastical shit that happened in East of West.
Yeah, there's a bit of kind of like magic, if you will, like religious magic, I guess, if that makes sense. It's very, very good, and it's not that long, but I think it took me like a day to read. But it was very, very good. I would highly recommend it if you're a fan of kind of that sort of book. Because it's kind of just dystopian, but kind of not. It's weird, but it's very, very good.
Audible says its listening length is 5 hours and 32 minutes. So that checks out that it would take you about a day to read it.
Yeah.
How many words did you have to look up?
Actually,
I mean, Church. That's not fair. I mean, what are you trying to say here?
Be retarded? So I know you're not retarded. But what are you, Down syndrome?
You know, I don't like somebody else being in control of the sound drops.
You don't like being the target, Aaron? Is that what you're saying? You don't like being the target of the sound drops?
No, I don't like not being in control of them.
Well, look, I mean, I know that you have the world's largest micro penis, and very few things give you a rise, but you just have to live with it. So I do actually have another book real quick, because I read something earlier today.
Sure.
From a company I'd never heard of before. So I'm like, oh yeah, let's share something small and interesting. A book called Crusader by Mad Cave Studios. Does anybody know these guys? I've
not heard of them.
So the crux of the 4-issue run is an isekai, except instead of some usual stupid shit like what if a school student got shoved into a sci-fi world or something, what if a Knights Templar from the city of Aker got transitioned to a fantasy world and had to fight eldritch abominations?
So,
You know, I
for
I
those of
think I've
you
seen this.
watching at home, here's the link.
I think I've seen this before, Rune. I think they adapted into a movie with Martin Lawrence, Black Knight or something.
God,
Or is that,
no,
am I confused?
you are confused, Church.
But
You are
it's a good
damaged.
confusion. It's a good confusion.
It is a good pain, like the war.
So now let me pull this up and take a look at it.
But
Alright.
basically, when he is transitioned to the fantasy land, the magic that brought him there is sort of ambient on his person, and these dark entities called the Masters wish to acquire his magic at any cost. So they grab a favored servant called the Pilgrim that they will not let die.
By the way, if you see here, that's the image of the pilgrim.
And they're like, yeah, if you bring this guy to us, we'll let you die finally. And he's like,
And
okay.
this is weird energy they chose for their goblin design.
That is him. Other goblins look like traditional goblins. He's just weird.
And here's the liches. Because I mean, you gotta have liches.
But the thing is why would I suggest this? It is unapologetically exactly what it looks like. They don't fuck around. There's not a lot of goofing or whinging. It is a crusading knight in a fantasy land doing what crusading knights do. And this time the bad guys are actual monsters, not other people. It's a good time. It's a cozy book.
It looks it. And there's 2 issues that are out.
I too have a review. It's a little unconventional, but you know, being the Christmas season and whatnot, I think I've gone down the diatribe before about how buying my wife a Nintendo Switch for her birthday or some such turned into everyone getting a Nintendo Switch somehow.
As is tradition.
In my household. So now my youngest daughter doesn't have one, but everybody else does. So it's 4 Nintendo Switches in my household. And because of this, a lot of my targeted advertisement, especially on like Google Chrome, is news stories about Nintendo Switch games, things of that nature. So I was intrigued by an article that I read on the 11th, earlier in the week, where No Gravity Games, an indie game studio that puts out some, nothing. No, I'm not going to call them major hits or anything, like nothing you're going to pay more than $10 for. But they're doing the 12 Days of Switchmas, which somebody didn't pass that through HR. But every day in these 12 days, you get a free game, and there've been some hit or misses.
It sounds like there's some hit or misses going on in your background there too.
Yeah, there are children that refuse to go to bed.
I mean, did they get nicely sugared up for birthdays? Was there cake and ice cream? Because I knew there was cake and ice cream.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was Elf on the Shelf cereal, and just basically sugar injected directly into their veins.
Well, I mean, as you recall, we were talking about your sufferance that you have given to the world, that you must suffer going to a kid's birthday party and having all that cake and ice cream. It's so terrible.
It was a tragedy.
Yeah.
It was a tragedy.
Also, whoever is a quote normal Korean, as opposed to an abnormal Korean, I suppose, or an unnatural Korean, they say "bing bing wahoo,"
Oh yeah.
Yes, they
that's
do.
a Medicare reference. That's what we call Andy Worski's switch because
It's true.
he's just
And
playing the
anybody
Bing Bing
wants,
Wahoo.
anybody wants to check it out, there's Normal Koreans channel on the YouTube.
But just go through some of these titles. The first game given away was Nonogram's Prophecy. Everyone familiar with what a nonogram is, where you fill in the spaces to make a pictogram?
So Sudoku.
The no numbers. But Cat Lord, where you play as one of various cats trying to kill chickens, foxes, and other creatures. There is Make War, where you are an invading alien army, and all of these games are fairly basic, like pixel games and stuff like that. Nothing super
do you
graphic-y or highly produced.
You make war on the Earth?
You invade a war that's going on, and have to help one side or the other to complete various goals to unlock new weapons.
So you can
there's a
unlock
game
some of
called
that space magic.
Yes. There's a game called Picklock where you're basically a burglar, and your heist gradually move up and up from starting with stealing your neighbor's toilet paper all the way into breaking into government buildings and going to a strip club. There's a puzzle,
That's like my kind of game.
a horror puzzle game where within the first 5 minutes your dad dies. So this is for children, by the way. And today's free game was Supersonic Tank Cats.
That sounds fun.
It's Mario Kart with cats.
That's why I said it sounds fun.
It is. It's also fairly difficult for a simple kids game. I have done 4 races so far since I downloaded it this morning, and I have failed to come in any higher than 4th. And I'm pretty fucking good at Mario Kart, which may be to my detriment. Also, there was a farm coloring game given away. Super simple. I deleted that because it's not my thing. And I'm looking through my games library on my Switch. I have a problem. Yeah. I bought this thing and I'm like, I'll probably never play much on this thing. And now I've got both Knights of the Old. I've got both Knights of the Old Republic games. I've got WrestleQuest, Breath of the Wild, Super Smash Brothers, Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 from the original Nintendo, Lego World, Five Nights at Freddy's 1 through 5, Final Fantasy 1 through 8.
How about Squirrel with a Gun?
I don't have Squirrel with a Gun, but I have Enter the Gungeon and Exit the Gungeon.
I don't even know if Squirrel with a Gun is on the Switch or not.
If it is, I'll probably have it in a few minutes. I forgot that game existed. Squirrel SQ with a. I need spaces. Squirrel with a Gun. I know this is riveting content, folks. But
I mean, one of these days, if we ever actually find a game that at least 3 of the 4 of us could play at once, because I know Ayrton is on a potato, we could mix up the content a bit with some vidges, games.
I've got Diablo 3 and Borderlands 2.
I will not give Blizzard more time or money. They can get fucked.
I've got Borderlands 2.
Real quick, so I'm looking at Normal Korean's YouTube page. I love this video you have on here called Kirby's Aryan Ride.
Called what?
Kirby's Aryan Ride.
Oh yeah, yeah, it seems good.
I mean, that's an official Nintendo product, right?
It is.
I don't play it. I don't play a lot of multiplayer games, though. I do have Fortnite on the Switch. Rune, did you ever add me?
Fortnite. I don't think I ever got your friend
I
request.
put it in the chat last week, but I haven't played all week. So I downloaded it that day, and I got a victory royale in my second match, and then I was like, I think I'm just going to quit while I'm ahead.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah, no.
thing.
No.
Fortnite is a thing that you indulge in a little bit and then you get on with your life. Even though I'm in the Fortnite, my peers grabbed me and were like, Joe, you got to try this game, Blood Hunt. And I'm like, oh, but it's gonna be garbage. And they're like, come on, Joe, it'll be fun. And it turned out to actually be fun.
I wish we could get everyone here to play 7 Days to Die. That would be good.
I have 7 Days to Die.
I know. We played it together before.
I know.
But
Anyway.
I have something I wanted to close the show out because I feel like there's good energy to close the show out on is some commentary by Rob Liefeld.
I mean, aren't we closing a little early?
No, we're not closing with it, but like this is the starting point.
Okay, the rounding out of this subject.
Rune, put your Fortnite tag in the chat.
Okay.
Not the chat, but in the.
I know what you mean.
So Rob Liefeld, there's all this controversy about a comic book shop owner saying, "Hey, listen, you guys are killing my business. Stop." Rob Liefeld brought this following comment here. In terms of broadcast networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC are the equivalent of Marvel and DC in publishing. Dad TV has kept the lights on at the legacy networks for decades. CSI, NCIS, FBI, SWAT, and SEAL teams are current examples of the dearth of Dad TV shows that populate CBS, the ratings leader. In recent years, Taylor Sheridan has produced a crop of top-rated shows, Yellowstone, Bass Reeves, Lioness, 1883, that reflect Dad TV standards. CBS put Yellowstone on their schedule and it posted the biggest numbers of the year. Dad TV is reliable and going nowhere. Dad Comics serve the same functions. They keep the lights on at the comic book stores around the country. X-Men, Spider-Man, and Batman are the gold standards of Dad Comics. There's certainly room for whatever new trend emerges, but Dad Comics pay the bills. They are time-tested and customer-approved. And Brianna Wu joined the chat.
I'm sorry. I believe you misspoke. It's a shambling zombie came out of irrelevancy to comment.
Well, no, she's never out of irrelevancy room because it's always about Gamergate. Everything's about Gamergate now.
Here's the thing. She wasn't even relevant during Gamergate. Anita Sarkeesian took top slot, and she was just like following after the entire time.
Well, Brianna fake swatted herself several times to disagree with you.
Well, right.
Well, and she had the Bitcoin snipers after her, too, remember?
I mean, look,
yeah.
That just means she's so unpopular that the only person that will actually slap her in the face is herself.
I considered Linus to have some ultra-strong feminist themes. Surprising to hear that you felt it was a Dad TV. Ha! You're kidding, right? It's a SEAL team show, first and foremost. Bloody violence, Sheridan style. Yeah, but it's got amazing women characters. A woman who escapes abuse by empowering herself and serving her country, a mother trying to blah, 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 blah. I enjoy it for showing women getting to serve in media the way men usually get to. And my response here is, the fact women are the main characters doesn't make it not Dad TV. We have some other excellent comments. How do you manage to make something that involves a SEAL team sound boring as all hell? That'd be like Olympus Has Fallen, but from the viewpoint of the attackers. But in the planning and logistics stage, they just say, let's get a move on, and that's the end of the movie. So what do you guys think about the commentary on Dad TV by Rob Liefeld and how that applies to the comics?
I just can't believe that we're talking about Gamergate 16.4.
Look, it's always hashtag current year, Ayrton. And since it's hashtag current year, it's always about Gamergate.
Look, we've always been at war with Oceania.
Exactly. So
everything is Gamersgate.
Exactly.
But,
So Church, what do you think about the Dad TV thing that Rob Liefeld brought up?
I mean, Church is the dad.
Yeah, that's why I asked for his dad take.
He's currently muted. He might be dadding.
I don't watch the television very much. So
But you understand the vibe that Rob's talking about here when he's saying dad TV. You understand that.
no, I get it. It's just I don't know. So when you start saying things like Anita Sarkeesian and Gamergate, I kind of just droll out because of how badly that time period hurt me as a human being.
I mean, those people were coming after Rob.
I mean, Church, you have to be damaged. You think you're a human being? You're a building.
Hmm.
Oh God, I've heard it more. He's gone back into building mode.
I sent you a friend request on Fortnite, by the way, Rune.
I will. I see that. I will go grab it.
Are we gonna start talking about Keck again and that shit? Like,
I am not Kekistan.
I mean, talking about Keck is what got Ethan Van Sciver in trouble.
Well, look.
No, he was talking about kikes, not Keck.
No. He got in trouble because he was wanting to show everybody Keck memes in DC Comics, and that was part of why they complained about him.
Look, I think that people need to understand that indigenous Kekistanis are oppressed by Kekistanians. Okay? And that we need to stop pretending that's not true. So, anyway, no, I don't have any problems with what Rob Liefeld said, specifically because if we remove the dad element, the implication that certain comics are basically for guys over 30, because my dad used to watch NCIS, and I solidly understand what he's talking about. There's a certain level of market share that wants cozy material that appeals to a specific flavor that they are familiar with and is adversarial to new things. I am quickly attaining that level. What he's actually saying here is, don't ruin the broth. Don't fuck the soup. Right? X-Men has a well-tread soup. Batman has a well-tread soup. Spider-Man has a well-tread soup. We know what makes a good Spider-Man. You don't need to reinvent that wheel. You never had to reinvent that wheel. Right? And there's plenty of space for making new stuff that will fill whatever niche you want to fill. Right? That has ever been the problem. Right? What I don't like, unrelated to Rob Liefeld's post, but related instead to the whole Mark Waid thing, which is, associated by proxy, is how nasty the debate has gotten. And I mean, not like it hasn't been nasty before, but I do not like our new terminology. Sparkle Troll is a little tongue-in-cheek. It's a little teasy, right? Danger Hair is a little adversarial, but I mean, come on, anybody can take dye their hair any color they want.
I love that one.
I do not like Cancel Pig. Pig bothers me.
I mean, in fairness, most of these people who are pushing for the cancellations are people with an obesity problem, Rune.
Yeah, but I'm chubby. That ain't the problem. The problem is that we used to use pig as a description for the cops because it was a measure of disrespect to authority. I do not like the idea that we are now describing our opposition as inhuman signs to be slaughtered just because they disagree with us.
Well, no, that's not why they're being called pigs. They're being called pigs because they're people in a position of authority and power that use their authority and power to abuse us.
Except they don't have authority and power.
Oh, they
the vast
absolutely
majority
do.
of the people. The vast majority of the people. No, the vast majority of the people that are giving us the red ass are people who are following the trends set by assholes who are. They're already passing. Their stage of control has passed, but their legions of mouth-breathing fuck nuggets haven't realized it yet.
Except, they could still get people fired at the drop of a hat inside, Marvel, DC. They can still literally terrorize people. They can spread rumors that people are trans when they're not
for
trans.
now. That's the thing. For now, and the pendulum, as has been said by multiple people, is already shifting against them.
The evidence is not yet there for that. I don't
think it's aggregate evidence, but I think there is evidence in the small scale that it is happening.
There's evidence that the audience will go for an alternative.
People are overestimating the momentum that has been developed, is the thing.
Well, there's no momentum. The audience has immediately jumped for things like Godzilla -1 as an alternative because it's finally some good fucking food, right?
Yeah, finally.
But the thing is, these people still have power over the major media companies because of how terribly the major media companies have run their HR programs because they're heavily invested in DEI. And the whole DEI ideology.
Called X-Men?
No, they can't because they're terrible. They need a major multi-billion-dollar company to sell their garbage.
That was a joke, Larry.
No, I mean, because some of these people have actually made super gay comic books about people who get their superpowers from being super gay.
You can get superpowers from sucking dick?
Yeah, Joe Glass wrote an entire comic book about that.
Look,
Rune, how are you not a superhero then?
Well, first of all, because I don't suck dick. Second of all, because I can't judge the idea of that poorly because the pro exists. The comic book about the superhero super prostitute, because she clearly super sucks dick.
And
if it was a book like, like the concept, like drinking the blood of your enemies gives you their strength, but like you suck a dick, and you have to swallow the load, and you get like the power and strength of the person you sucked off.
Well, look. It's we haven't got there yet, but it's a spread, right? So there was Vampirella, and then there was Lady Death, and then there's oh shit, I forget the name of the character. There's
Witchblade.
The red succubus that is an adversary of
Vampirella
and Lady Death, right?
Yeah, the other Lady Death, and then you got Witchblade. She's a thing.
And Witchblade, right?
Angela and Spawn.
The only reason I mention this is because we're on a sliding scale of vampirism. Eventually, they're gonna make a book about a vampire hot chick who doesn't drink blood; she drinks jism. And I'm telling you, that book's gonna make $1 million.
Well, you see, the thing is, that's
actually a million copies of it.
You see, that's actually a book you have to make to sell in China because they censor blood content out. They make all the blood white.
See,
that makes it worse. Now it's just a cum bath.
Exactly.
It's good. I think if we got that book made, it'd be a major comeback for American comics.
What, cum bath? Cum bath the book? I think you'd have to put that one in a black bag.
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
The other thing about the cancel pigs is something we've known about for a while.
I hate that term. I do. I hate that term.
I mean, that was what I was saying. I'm not.
I'm only using the terms because we discussed the term.
Yeah,
I was playing Bing Bing Wahoo. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Right on. And these people work for a large corporation where they're trained to do PR stuff where they put up a bunch of PR nonsense to distract from things and also do PR sabotage. And really...
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Correct.
Renfamous, Fake Holiday, the Jamal Igle, all these people work for this company. Mark
Kwanzaa.
Wade, yeah, no, that's Fake Holiday because he's named after Kwanzaa. He's Fake Holiday.
Ah, very good.
And I took that one from Just Some Guy because that was a good bit. It was a good bit calling him Fake Holiday, and he he made a
Perfect
dumb
clock twice a day and all that.
yeah, he made a dumb comic book of like, what if black people had superpowers? They're the only ones that
Yeah,
had
we reviewed
superpowers.
this.
We did, and it wasn't any good. It was awful.
It was kind of racist.
Yeah. And
Well,
there
look,
is a Netflix
look.
adaptation in the pipeline, and it had to be severely rewritten.
Look, I just want to mention, gentlemen, if we are to believe the opinions of the extremists for the moment, we have the privilege, and we are the racists. Therefore, I think it should be pointed out, we are the most qualified to recognize when something is racist, and that book was racist.
Hey,
That's true.
I'm not racist. I like all kinds of races: drag races, motorcycle races, horse races.
Look,
I
I
hate
got a
it so much,
fever,
Eric.
and that's all I want to say about that. Okay, apparently normal Korean's racist. I'm not sure we could be friends.
And you know what? The black superhero book, I didn't mind all the gingers in it.
Look. When we're talking about racism, we need to focus on important things.
Well,
Where do you think the contact with the aliens came from? When did that start?
You know, I'm not going to get into it.
I need to hear about aliens.
I know you already know all this, Joe.
Hold on a second.
It's always,
But I want to ask you this because I don't know.
oh yeah, right. We're in contact with aliens.
Like, what kind of shit?
Here's what's happening, because it's not just one group of aliens.
What's the different groups?
The Big Five.
Okay, tell me what's going on.
Let me begin. This is really, I'm telling you, Joe, this is a real deal.
We're listening to you.
Well, first off, elves is the main group.
Okay.
And they call them the elves. It's clockwork elves.
I don't think you're allowed to say that anymore.
There are bad things that look like elves that have horns when they show you who they really are.
Damn.
They're bad aliens.
I'm with you.
AI is alien.
Like a robot.
Yeah, they're like robots coming to kill you.
Jesus Christ.
The chimeras are alien.
And there's a hive mind sort of thinking to a lot of this.
They want the organs. I swear on my kids, I told you the truth about that.
I believe you.
They're coming after everybody.
Jeez.
It's a breakaway civilization, dude. We don't know what they've got. Joe, they're control freaks.
Well,
You're not
everybody's a
That's why I'm
control
so glad
freak.
you're in the fight now. These guys are on stuff that like nobody even knows.
What do you think they're on?
Stuff they've been given.
Okay. I understand what you're saying.
You know, there's like armed guys with machine guns.
That is a group of people that were obsessed with combat.
About the most fearless killers there are.
Do you think that's from their heritage?
Thank you,
good.
Alex.
In matter of point, if we do not get our asses onto a more like generic RPG, which we were discussing previously, we should get into some 40 kek and
Bitch,
bring,
I am not going to try and learn all that shit.
Hold up.
You kidding me?
So normal Korean, my opinion on it is the technology's not ready yet. Shad did some cover art for AI stuff, and it's not ready, but it is very, very close. It is very close to being ready. In fact, let me pull up. I believe I can pull some
I've
up
been
to
saying
show
for
you
a while
something.
now, we need to make an entire comic book entirely off of AI. Have ChatGPT do all the writing and have a
You missed our
Whatever.
review of it at the beginning of the show, Normal. You'll have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, but hold up. I'm going to show you guys something that I made using AI. That is comics related content. Let me pull up the share screen. There we go.
I mean, depends on what the crab's doing.
Here you go. Here's what I made. It's AI assisted comic content. That's good enough to slap some words into. Make a comic book.
It's a very slow page.
But yes, it is.
It
Uh,
would need more action because right now it's just like this one
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Even though it has motion, it is 3 separate still images. There's no
Yeah.
sense of movement.
But this is remarkably better than where it was a long time ago. Now, here
More
is one.
importantly, it's remarkably better than what Shad was doing.
Here's another one. You got your Conan alike in a fantastical city, and
Except we could almost do the Seaman Vampire book.
come on, you.
Do we just call it Suckpire?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Here's another one.
Well, we
that's
can't be
actually-
friends.
That's actually better,
Yeah.
like structurally.
And again, this was just me goofing around, making a couple of pages. Here's another one.
This is Larry over here, hopped up off the goofballs.
And here's one with a nice pretty lady on a boat.
Now, if we wanted to get to like the quality of the 80s and 90s, is there a way to give the AI cocaine?
Yes. And those ones I just showed you, they were ones I made using Conan. Now, here is one I made mashing a bunch of different unconnected comic book pieces together. I would need to do something about that bottom panel. The bottom panel is kind of janky there. But this is getting a lot closer to being ready for prime time. And again, this is me just using Midjourney on the Discord. And what I did normal Korean, I used the describe feature on Midjourney for the Conan looking ones. For the purple ones that you just saw, I did a blend of 4 different comic pages, created a horrible monstrosity, then ran a describe on that, and produced comic pages. I haven't played around with Stable Diffusion yet for the comic books, mainly because that's a lot more granularity on that. But that's just to show you that's a low effort output that I just showed you there that I made.
On occasion, I get a wild hair and I fiddle around with Night Cafe, and I've made some halfway decent still images. I don't know if it could handle a full-on comic page, but individual panels maybe. It's another one of the machines that doesn't quite know how to do fingers yet.
Jizz vampires. Speaking of AI hands, did you guys see that that like prosthetic ring thing that makes it look like you have an extra digit, so you can walk around in public and any cameras that pick you up doing things you can just claim were AI and not actually you?
Yes,
Oh,
I
that's
have.
fantastic.
Also, I mean, Ayrton, if we're gonna do this thing, we'd have to go full-on tasteless. So, I mean,
Well, yeah.
so it's Vampire Cheerleader Squad.
Well, no, there will be a lot of taste, Varun. Just make sure you eat enough pineapple beforehand.
I mean, yeah, but I'm just saying, why stop at one cum guzzling super vampire when you could have a cheerleader squad of, scantily clad, life draining monsters?
It's an excellent question.
I think I'm back in this conversation. What were you talking about?
See, the
Ayrton and I
question
are
would be,
Ayrton and I are
like-
proposing that we make a Gospel of Comics comic book about vampires that feed on sexual energy and presumably kill their targets.
Isn't
And
there a
they-
show about that now, basically?
There is.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we'd be playing it straight, so it wouldn't be occluded or implied. It would be the direct, vampire sexy times. It would be lewd. It would be extremely lewd.
so my question would be, what mechanic would we use? Because, a vampire can either kill somebody or turn them if they don't completely kill them. So would the chicks turn somebody into a vampire by edging them, or through anal? Like if you fuck the
Well,
vampire chick in
I
the
mean,
ass,
no,
you
the-
turn
the
into a
obvious-
vampire.
The obvious answer is if they just drain their life energy, they die. Right? If
No.
they If they
If-
edge them long term, they turn into like a ghoul-like. Right?
No. What you're wanting to do for this is they're going to drain out all of their vital male energy and that turns
Right.
him into a female that needs to in turn be vampiric.
Oh
That's
god.
And
how
then,
vampirism works.
And then Alex Jones can be the protagonist coming through with his natural male vitality, saving the day.
Exactly.
Well, I mean that implies that it's Alex Jones fucking vampire chicks, which I mean
No. He's saving people who are
yeah, no,
fucking
that's like
vampires.
what I see it more as is like you have you have a young man like a teenage high school type maybe football track and field kind of guy, right? Who the vampire chicks want, particularly the captain of the squad, right?
Rude. I think we
So-
should bump it up to college age just for legal
Sure.
reasons.
Sure, but I'm just saying.
No.
he's gonna
It's the senior varsity squad. It's fine.
Yeah,
They're all
but still,
18.
Oh, okay.
the thing is that he's at great risk, and like at the last minute before he's going to be murdered, he is rescued by an Alex Jones alike, who is a older vampire hunter, and together they train and work together to take down the cheerleader vampire sex drinking menace. Because this has happened before. This is happening now. This is real. Hello, D
Yeah.
from X, because X gonna give it to us.
I did not.
Give it to you.
I don't know how the X commentary works yet. I got to learn that, but it's cool that we're getting X commentary.
Yes.
Well, I mean, X gonna deliver it to you.
But I as a
You're
general
trying
rule-
real hard, Rune, and I appreciate it, but it's just not working for me.
Yeah. But no,
And,
I also do not like it being called X. It's fucking Twitter. Fucking
And,
Twitter.
so far we got 182 impressions off of the simulcast to my my Twitter feed.
Eh,
Very good.
somebody's
very good.
watching us fuck up. Probably bots.
So
Well, impressions just mean it showed up on their page while they were scrolling.
Yes, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, Church, how are we taking this home? I will say for the show next week, I'm going to come up with my list, my 10 worst and 10 best movies and or TV shows I have seen this year.
Okay.
Actually, on that, I don't know if we're waiting just for Ayrton to be available. We need to also have our best of list or worst of list. We need a list. We haven't done a list in a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, I was. The format was meant for 4 people, and with the absence
Yeah.
of Ayrton,
Yeah.
been postponing it, hoping that he stopped being fucking homeless.
He's not homeless. His home's just in a very inconvenient place.
Look,
Yeah.
He's
you just
fucking
need
homeless.
look, Ayrton. You just need to trade sexual favors to a librarian for library access for the computer.
Library's closed by the time we do the show.
That's why you do sexual favors, so that they'll keep it open just for you. Then you'll be able to talk in a library.
I mean, that's fair. I was just able, because I got my bike fixed, to get my computer mostly charged up at the Starbucks up the street.
And that's why we have
Starbucks.
Ayrton tonight.
Up the street. I don't particularly have anything enlightening. Like I said, I made a mistake. I pulled out the Bing Bang Wahoo, and it's been all down.
I mean,
Mm.
I mean, definitionally, are we not talking about Ayrton living in a van down by the river?
So I know we're going
living
to
in a
have.
van down by the river.
In a van down by the river.
Actually, Ruin, it's funnier than that. I'm actually by a industrial railroad inlet.
Oh well, la-di-da, Mr. Fancy Pants. Shut up.
I can
But,
sit the fucking
I'm
trains
sorry.
all night.
I'm not Chris Farley, but Chris, we miss you.
But it is my understanding that we're going to do a show a day early because next week's show is
We're
Christmas
going-
Eve.
We're going to attempt to. It really just depends on the logistics of Christmas and family and whatnot.
And we're probably gonna do a show a day early the week after that because of New Year's Eve. Because I mean, I got a feeling that church is probably not going to be communicative when it's showtime for New Year's.
Oh, what would give you that impression?
My experience with you as a functional alcoholic.
Bottle and bond bourbon.
That was a night.
I don't remember the scheduling, but you and I, Larry, might be busy that day. I don't suspect it would prevent us from being on the show, though.
We'll figure out the details. We'll bang the details out.
Well, assuming that that's a Saturday, because this is a Sunday, right? You and
Yeah.
I might be going to a little city that you and I know.
Mm.
We might be busy in Cameron.
We might. We'll figure out the details. We'll figure out all the details.
You guys remember Cameron, right?
I have no
Cameron's
idea what the fuck
back.
you're talking about.
The World of Darkness game you guys played
Oh,
in. That
yeah.
Did we not tell you the awfulness that I have done?
No.
So last year, I was talked into running World of Darkness and having no specific setting, plot, or idea. I took our game that we ran, and I said, "But what if it kept going?" and just like Jack Nicholson talking to a director, I said, "But if I keep the game going," and I ran for a year, a World of Darkness game set in the same city, dealing with the ramifications of what you guys did.
It wasn't that bad.
I mean, you did, decapitate a city government and get exploded in fire, but it's not like you
Wasn't my
planned it.
fault.
And then Mama Rune passed, which was very sad, and basically I was busy dealing with that. And the way economics works, it takes time for your bills to settle, for your life stuff to settle. There was paperwork, there was government, there was running around, there was craziness. It basically took a year. And now Moody and I and Coyote are working hard to get the game rolling again. So Larry may soon be returning to a darkened place from which there is no hope, where bad things have gone down that they were participating in.
It's
All right,
true.
then.
And it's all your fault.
Well,
Well, I mean, to be fair, it's not your fault.
I hope you get eaten by spiders.
I'm sorry, what?
I hope you get eaten by spiders.
I mean,
All
that
of
is
you.
a thing that can happen.
It could. There was a spider infestation last year. It was in the Crone Necropoli. We burned it out with fire.
how come they can burn things up with fire and not die, but we can't?
Oh no, there was every potential they could have died too. They were vampires using fire, which is extra hilarious.
That's some bullshit. I'm calling shenanigans.
Oh no. Like people did almost die. There were vampires with ag. It was bad.
Seems sus. I'm calling shenanigans. Church, you back me on that?
I'm calling shenanigans on you using sus. I don't appreciate it.
I mean, Aaron is, I believe, the youngest person on this cast, so he's appropriate for using that.
Yeah, thanks, Zoomer.
That's true. I can feel like things are like lit and shit.
Please don't.
Is that how the kids are talking?
Please don't.
For real.
Since I have been promoted, since
Eric is apparently having a stroke.
since I have been promoted, I'm going to assume the authority to say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Very, very good.